Good afternoon, student. Today we will start with our third unit, that is operational management. Okay. So the content of this is third unit. We will discuss about the plant location and the layout and the line balancing. Okay, the concept and the factors that is governing the plant locations. You know the plant. What is a plant? Plant is a place where main material, machine, equipment, machinery, etc. are brought together for manufacturing products. That is called as the plant. So if you visit to any plant, we will come across there are the different equipments are there. There are the main means workers. Okay. Then there are the materials. There we also have money. We also have equipments, different equipments, machineries. Okay, these are there in a plant, and for what purpose? These are brought together for manufacturing products. We have to manufacture something. So the problem of plant location arises when starting a new concern or during the expansion of the existing plant. So the plant location means, suppose we have to start the plant. When you have to start the plant, or we have to expand the existing plant, then we have to consider the plant locations. So the question arises of the plant locations at that time during the commissioning of the new plant or the expansion of the existing plant. So the plant location means deciding a suitable location. We have to decide the suitable location, area, as well as a place where the plant or factory will start functioning. The plant location involves two major activity. First activity, it involves the two activity. First, to select the proper geographic region. First, we have to select the proper geographic region, and second, selecting a specific site within the region. We have to select the specific site in that region. Now we have visited our college. So when our college site was selected for the education institutes in 1983, at that time this site is out of the city, and everybody was talking that this is very far away from the city and nobody will go there. Okay, but now it is on the main highway and it is also on the route of the KBCNMU. So those who has suggested this site, that he even do not know how it will be the very important site in the future. So in this way we have to select the site for your plant, for your factory organization, so that it will be easily accessible. Okay, so the plant location plays a major role in the design of the production system as it determines the cost of getting the suitable raw material, processing raw material, okay, of the finished goods and finished product distribution to the customers. So your plant should be at such a region, at such a place where we should we require the raw material for the plant. We require the raw material for the plant. So the raw material should be easily available to that side. Second, we have to process the raw material. And when you process this raw material, we again sell these or finished products to the customers. So the finished product to the customer. So in that way, your plant should be very near to the raw material, as well as your plant should also be very near to the market also, because we can easily transport it to the market. So hardly the any location can be ideal or perfect. Obviously, this is also the important. Hardly any location is can be considered as ideal or perfect, because see, sometimes our plant location is very near to the raw material, but it is far away to the market. Sometimes the market is very near to your plant, but the raw material which is required for your organization, the it is very uh, with it has uh, it has to bring from the very long distance. Okay, so that is why it is said that any location cannot be ideal or perfect. So one has to consider the following factors affecting the plant location, which is discussed below. First, we'll discuss one by one factors. These factors, which is definitely going to affect the plant location. So nearness to the raw material, nearness to raw material. So our plants should be very near to the raw material. It will produce the cost of transporting the raw material. Okay. So when your raw material is very near to you, your transportation cost is going to be reduced. But suppose it is very far away, especially those plants which consume the raw material in bulk, or raw material is heavy and is cheap but loses a good amount of its weights during the processing, must be located close to the source of raw material. So suppose the raw material is, we require the very bulk in amount. Okay, and if it is a cheap, okay, and we lose the good amount of this raw material while processing the equipments, the finished products. So in that case, your raw material sites must be located to the source of raw material, or your plant should be located to the source of raw material. So that is the nearness to the material. Second is the transport facility. Obviously, a lot of money is spent both in transporting the raw material and finished goods. Depending upon the size of raw material and finished goods, a suitable methods of transportation like road, rail, or water or air is selected, and accordingly the plant location is decided. One point must be keep in mind that while transporting, the transportation should remain fairly small in proportion to the total cost. So if the whatever the cost is required for the manufacturing of the product, the transportation cost should be fairly small. So when the mobile manufacturer, suppose it is a mobile manufacturing company, They are producing the manufacturing mobiles, and they also require the raw material. The raw material is they purchase from the nearby regions, and therefore the when they prepare manufacturing the mobile, that is raw material, they decide what should be the cost of the that mobile phone. So that cost is all the cost is added. For example, the raw material cost, different raw materials is required for manufacturing of the mobile, and therefore transportation cost also is there, and therefore this transportation cost should be very small as compared to the other cost of the for example of mobile. So that is about the transport cost. This should be very fairly small. Next point is the nearness to markets. Nearness to market. Okay, so it reduces the cost of transportation as well as the chances of the finished product getting damaged, as your market is very near, and therefore we have to travel very less path, and therefore there is no damage happens because the small distance we have to cover. Moreover, the plant being near to the market can catch a big share of the market and can render quick service to the customers. So that is the reason your market should be very close to your plant when you decide the location of the plant. When you have to set the new plants or when you have to expand the existing plant, we have to consider these factors. Next point is that the availability of labor. Availability of labor. Obviously, we require the labor for the operation of the different tasks, and therefore the stable labor force, and that labor force should be of right kind, of adequate size, should be of the skill. They should have the experience, knowledge, and they should get at the reasonable rates. Okay, and they should be with proper attitude toward their works, and therefore these are the few factors about the availability of the labors. The purpose of the management is to face the less boycotts, strikes, and lockouts to achieve the lower labor cost per unit of the production. Okay, we have to also have the labors. We have to select the labors in such a way that there should not be any union, and there should be the you should face the less boycotts, strikes, lockouts in any plants. So that is the availability of the labor. Next point is the availability of the fuel and power. This is also very important. Availability of the fuel and power. Because of the widespread use of the electric power, most cases the fuel has not remained a deciding factor of the plant location. Even then, the steel industries are located near source of the fuel. For example, coal. Should be near to the steel industries, and therefore the coal to cut down the fuel transportation cost. If the coal mines are very near to the steel plants, then definitely it is going to cut the transportation costs. Now, if you see, there are the thermal plants are also there. These thermal plants are located in the different parts of the region, different parts of the country, and some thermal plants they are very far away from the coal mines, and therefore we see that the coal has to be transported with the help of the train. Okay, and it took the number of the days to reach to the thermal power plant. So that is why the availability of the fuel and power, it should be in such a way that you should cut your transportation costs and the power also. Next is the availability of the water. This is also one of the important factors that will also affect the plant location. Water is used for processing purpose, for drinking purpose, in any industries, paper industry, chemical industry, and is required for drinking and sanitary purpose also. Depending upon the nature of plants, water should be available in adequate quantity and should be of the proper quality. So the chemical industry should not be set at a location which is famous for water shortage. Okay, so the chemical industry should never, or it is never set where the shortage of the water is there. So it is always set near to the water sources where the water is abundantly available. Next point is the climate condition. Climatic conditions. With the development in the field of heating, ventilating and air conditioning, the climate of the region does not present much problem. Of course, the control of climate needs money. Okay, so whenever we have to select the plants in such a region where the temperature is plays very important role. Otherwise, we have to spend more money on the air conditioning in order to maintain the climate or the temperature for the processing in your industries. So that is one of the factors, that is climate conditions. Next factor is the financial and other aids. Financial and other certain states gives us loans, feed money, machinery, built up sales, etc. to attract the industries. So if you go to the certain states, they give the incentives to the new industrialists so that they think that a new industry may be set up in their regions and it will produce the jobs in their regions, and therefore they uh, give the financial assistance to also them. They also provide some type of the loan, machinery they also provide, and they also build up the shade for that industries. This is just for how to attract the industrialist. Next is the land. Next point is the land. This is very important point. The topography area, the shape of the size, shape of the site, cost, drainage, or other facilities, the probability of floods, earthquakes, etc. influence the selection of the plant location. Okay, so all this we have to consider. What is the topography area? Okay, then the shape of the size, cost, what is the drainage, whether drainage system is there or not, other facilities are not there, whether the earthquakes are frequently happen in that regions or not. That history we have to check when we select the plant in that region. Next is the community attitude. This is also very important. Community attitude. Success of industry depends on very much on the attitude of the local people and whether they want work or not. So the community attitude is also very important. Next is the presence of related industries. That is also very important. The related industry should be there. Presence of related industry, because if your is the paper industry, then the raw material which is required for the paper industry, that industry should be very near to you. So this related industry should be present where we are going to set your plant. Next is the existence of hospitals, marketing centers, schools, banks, post office, clubs. These are very necessary for the workers, employees, as well as the factory itself. So existence of hospitals, schools, then banks, post office. Okay. Uh, so these are very important for the workers who are working in that industry. Okay. So next point is the local bylaws, taxes, building. These are very also important. Housing facilities, securities, whether housing facilities are is there or not, securities, whether that area is secure or not, or we are going to set up the plant in the regions where the security problem is prevailing there, then definitely will not go for the selection of the that site for your plant. Next is the facilities for expansion, facilities for expansion. So these are the factors, various factor affecting the plant location. Okay. Then locational economics. This is very important. Locational economics. So the ideal plant, we just discussed that no plant is ideal plant, but even an ideal plant location is one which results in lowest production cost. Okay, we have installed a plant where the production cost is low and the least distribution cost per unit. Least distribution cost per unit. Distribution means once it is a finished product is uh, produced, we have to distribute it to the market. So that least distribution cost per unit should also be there. That plant we can call it as an ideal plant. Means production cost is low and distribution cost is also low per unit. That plant we can call it as an ideal plant location. So these costs are influenced by the number of factors. These plants are influenced by the number of the factors, and the various costs which decide the locational economy are as follows. So locational economics first factor will be of the land. Land plays very important, means if the land is costly, then probably your capital investment is definitely going to increase, and therefore the production cost will also increase. Distribution cost will also will add the more in the distribution cost also. So the land is very important. Second is the building rent, building, building or rent means whether we have our own buildings or we have to take the buildings on rent. Equipments and machinery, equipment, equipment and machinery. Next is the labor. Next is water, power, fuel. Next is the freight, incoming, outgoing. Freight, that is incoming or outgoing. Next is the raw material. Okay, raw material, and then there is the taxes. So these factors will decide the locational economics, whether that location is economical or not. If you have to study all these factors, whether the tax of the in that region is very less or not. Okay, if you set the tax in, suppose in Mumbai, if you set up the industry in the Mumbai, then there are very huge taxes in the Mumbai. Therefore that location will not be the economical location. Okay, the location should be economical. So these factors will play the important role for the economical locations. Next is the rural versus urban plant side. That is also considered rural versus urban plant side. Means you know that in while selecting the plant side in city, there are some advantages as well as some disadvantages are also there. Okay, when you select the plant in rural areas, there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages also there. Okay, so the rural versus urban plant site. Rural versus urban plant site. So this while selecting the plant in the city, there are some advantages. The city is very connected, very well connected by the train, by road, by air also. Okay, so it provides a good market also. Right labor force is also available. Right labor force is also available in the city. It has a good hospital, marketing centers, schools, banks are also there. Recreational facilities are also there. The factory can be set up in the existing available building. Okay, if the available building is there, and workers and foremen training classes and many other educational facilities can be found in the cities. Service of the experts and specialties are easily available. Means if we require some faulties occurs in your plants, so whether there's some expert facilities available there or not, that is also available in the city. Okay, many other small industries existing nearby, so that the workforce is easily available to you. Okay, so these are the some advantages. Disadvantages that if you select the plant in the city, what are the disadvantages? Means land available for the building is limited. Okay, that is the disadvantage because the cost of the land is very high in the city, and therefore the cost of land and building construction is very high. Expansion of the industry is seldom possible because the area is very small and we could not expand your plant. Local taxes etc are very high. Labor salaries are also very high because there are the skilled labors are available in city. Skilled labor, experienced labor, knowledgeable labor, they are available in the city, and therefore that is a disadvantage as per the setting the industries in the rural areas, because company has to pay more for maintaining all these things. Next is disadvantage is that union problems are more, employee relations are not so good. That are the disadvantages. So while selecting the plant site in small town, if it is a small town is there, when it is a small town, what are the advantages? Definitely it has some advantages. small towns or rural areas, the plenty of land is easily available for your plant. We can set up the plant, and we can also expand the existing plant as the area is not problem in the rural. Land is easily available and it is cheap also. Unskilled labor is available, which can be trained to suit the requirements of the concern. That is advantage. Unskilled laborers are there because they will not ask more salaries because they are unskilled, and therefore we can recruit them and we can train them as per your requirements. Employee-employee relationships are good. No union problems are there in the rural areas. So undesirable manufacturing neighbors are not likely to be present. Municipal and other regulations and taxes, etc., are seldomly burdensome. Means if it is a small rural area are there, therefore there is no municipal. If it is even the municipal is there and other regulations and taxes are there, they are not at high level. They are of small level, and therefore it is not burden. Government gives inducement as it wants to develop the underdeveloped areas. The government also gives some incentives to such industries who are going to set up their plant in the rural areas, because government also think that that area will also get developed. So these are some advantage of the small term. So these are the advantages. It also has some disadvantages. Skilled labor is not available. Suppose your industry require the skilled labor for the processing of any raw material. That skilled worker is not easily available. That is the disadvantage. Rail, road, and air links may not be there at all, or it may not be adequate. Nowadays, uh, the rail road facilities in India is very good. Every road in each states they are well connected, and the roads quality is also increasing. Okay, power is not available. So in rural areas, if you set up the plant, obviously the power problem is there because the power is not maintained 24 into 7. So the rural areas are far from the selling market also. Markets are is very far away from the plant. Hospitals are also not there. Educational systems, uh, educational schools, this post office, the such facilities are also not there. Ancillary services cannot be obtained, and expert and specialist advice is not also available. So these are some advantages and disadvantages of the plants. Uh, Here we can select in small towns or in city. Next is the plant location. We'll move to the plant location. Uh, Sorry, we'll move to the plant layout. We have discussed about the plant location, plant layout. So we have discussed what type of the location should be for your plant. And once you have decided the location, and your next step is to for the plant layout. So the plant layout means the disposition of the various facilities. For example, equipment, materials, manpower, etc., and services of the plants within the area of the site selected previously. So the plant layout begins with the design of the factory building. Plant layout begins with the design of the factory building. Means when we design the plant layout, it begins with the factory buildings and goes up to the location and the movements of the work tables, all the facilities like uh, equipments, then raw material, uh, workers, then there is a machinery, tools, etc. These are given a proper place. Okay, the machine should be at the proper place, the raw material should be at the proper place, machinery, tools and worker, they should be also at the proper place. So we have to prepare the plant in such a way that we can get the raw material very easily, and the process material should also be kept in the uh, in some hall. That hall should be also very near to them, means we can say it is a stock room where we can place that. So in deciding a place for equipments, supervisors and workers who have to operate them should be consulted. So what are the objectives of the good plant layout? Once you select the location, once you have selected location, our next step is to have the plant layout. So what are the objectives of the plant layout? A good, which plant is a good plant layout? Which plant is a good plant? So the material handling and transportation is minimized and efficiently controlled, obviously. So material handling. Suppose for the process of the raw materials, we require the raw material. That raw material should be easily available to the worker, and once it is one it is finished, it should also be transported to the stock room or in other departments, and that should be efficiently controlled. Okay, the material handling as well as the transportation of that material, it should be minimized, means distance should be minimized, otherwise there should not be more time would be spent in transportation of the raw material to the workplace. Okay, next is the workstations are designed suitably and properly. What are the workstations are there? That should be properly designed and suitably, so that we can use the workers in this workstation. Suitable spaces are placed allocated to the production centers and service centers. Then we can say the suitable the movement made by the workers are minimized. If the workers they are moving in the industry, so that movement should be minimized so that they can give more time in their tasks. Waiting time of the semi-finished product should also be minimized. Okay, suppose the one department they require the semi-finished products, and if the semi-finished product is not available, we have to wait. If they have to wait for a long time, then obviously their work will also affected. So that should not be there. Waiting time of this working conditions are safer, better and improved. Whatever the worker they are working in that working station, that should be safe. There should not be any accident should not be happen. Better ventilation should be there so that air should be properly get in and out of the plant. Okay, so there is an increased flexibility or for changes in product design and future expansion. There is a utilization of the proper utilization of the uh, workplace, and there are improved work methods and reduced production cycle times. Plant maintenance is simpler. So all these are the objectives of the good plant layout. Next is the principles of plant layout. Principles of plant layout.